Why video? Because it's massive. It works online for employer branding for exactly the same way that it works for everyone else. There are 3 billion YouTube views every single day. There are 500 tweets sent every single minute with a YouTube link in them. If you want to get information across, if you have information put on your, if you want people to consume the majority of information off your website, then 20% of people will consume it if it's written as text. 80% will consume it if it's put out as video. Dwell time. Without a video on your website, you're looking at around about 28 seconds of dwell time for your average hit. That goes right up to 5 minutes 50 for a page with video on it. So it's a really, really useful way of actually just getting people to spend time on your site, engaging with your content. Also works really well for Facebook and LinkedIn and all the other social media, mainly because there's so much traffic, people are getting so many tweets, so many updates, that the algorithms that these very bright, very rich people have written favour video because they assume that it's sort of higher quality content. I'm sure in time they'll start to create systems that will analyse that video and work out actually what's the real quality. But for now, if you want your update to rank highly on social media, then having video, even if it's just something shot on a mobile phone, can really help it to rank highly. What was the dwell time if you use video on your website? 5 minutes 50. There we go, brilliant, there we go. Prize number 1. Okay, so what makes really good employer brand video? First thing, most important thing, is that it has to be authentic. And that's authentic to your brand. We're seeing a real move towards authenticity, and I'm going to show you a couple of examples in a minute. It has to live your EVP, and it should do that by illustrating the lives that the people within your organisation live. There's no point in creating a really wowy, energetic video if they arrive day one and the experience doesn't align. So it has to align with the rest of their experience in being engaged by your company. It has to be engaging, should be energetic. That's not just about pace, it's about having a rhythm that carries you through it. It should be shareable. People should want to watch it and share it with their friends. Say, hey, look, this is what I've seen. Informative. If you're going to make it, don't just make fluff. It may as well tell people something about your organisation. And emotive. Now, video without emotion is like a day without sun. I can't believe I just said that. All video, where video really works is in relaying human emotion. And that's what you should really be looking to try and find that emotion, even if it's a relatively dry, informative piece, showing someone how to use your application software, for example. It should still have a bit of emotion in it. It should be memorable. I mean, you could argue it would be memorable if it was all these other things. The quality should be appropriate. It's not always about rolling out a Hollywood film crew to shoot your little day one video. Actually, everyone's got the tools that they need to shoot really great video in their pocket, even now, much to our dismay, but we're working with it. So, it can be shot on your mobile phone. There's no reason not to be creating loads and loads of content and to be encouraging your people to create loads of content. Original, sort of as original as you can manage. And you should have some idea about the distribution, like how are you going to make sure people see it? The number of films we make where we get to the end of the process and then the client says, hang on a second, well, how do we make sure people watch this? And you sort of think, well, you have to think about that at the beginning. It's like, how are you going to make sure you get eyeballs on it? And that could be as simple as installing a video, installing a screen in your in the loos, for example. It's like, that's where your audience are going to be. If you've got to get a message to them, maybe, a few £100 for a TV screen in the loo, it's not the end of the world. Haven't heard of anyone doing it just yet, but it's possible. You can use video for the entirety of the employee life cycle. Getting my nice academic slide. And we've done it for everything from sort of helping people to, build initial awareness through understanding entry points, helping with the application process, all the way through selection and job offers, keeping people warm through the first 90 days, then kind of ongoing internal comms. I mean, people are quite familiar with that. And then building an alumni network. Some of the big business services firms, like their alumni network has huge value to them, and being able to communicate with them, video can be quite a useful way of just reminding them about the life that they used to live. So the next film I'm going to show you was for Ferrero. Film, it's about making the intangible tangible, and that's one of the reasons why it works so well to relate an employer brand. Ferrero have just launched their new employer brand, A Joy to Discover, and they wanted a film which could sit as a centerpiece of that campaign, and show that they've moved on from being with a sort of perception of a relatively stuffy, traditional family brand who make Ferrero Rocher, to a big global brand that cares about the planet around us, and which holds a whole world of possibilities for people to discover. And that's where this film came in. What we saw in that video is sort of travel all over the world. They wanted to be able to show imagery from all of their operations, and we came up with a technique to be able to do that. So rather than sending a crew to every single different location, we took still imagery, we took some of the stock imagery that they had, and sort of came up with this treatment which basically allowed us to produce a sort of film that looked really, really global for a fraction of the cost. But unfortunately, it's a bit too glitchy, I think, to show you. Anyway, talking about making the intangible tangible, this was a film that we made for Taqqa Brittani up in Aberdeen with David. One of the great things about this film is, that sounds really big-headed. I think the reason this film works so well is because we carried out 50 interviews from throughout the company and understood what it was for people who worked there. Because there's a real sort of atmosphere of it, or a real feeling that it's a real sort of challenger brand, that anything's possible. It has a huge energy to it. And by carrying out all these different interviews with people, everyone from people working on the shop floor right up to the MD, we were able to create a script and a film which encapsulated what it was to work there.
Onshore, offshore, we dive and drill and man the platforms. Done in safety, done with pride. We need strong hearts and broad shoulders. We need you to be yourselves. For we mean friendship, we mean passion, we mean striving, driving, thriving, all that's best in being human. We mean energy.
That was originally made as a keep warm pack. TACA were losing a lot of people between the offer and first day, the sort of 90 days while people were working out their notice, because the industry or the market out there is incredibly competitive. And so consequently, they make an offer to someone, and then in the period before they moved on, someone would come in and be like, right, here, take 15%, 20%, 50% more money. And because that emotional connection that they built with the company when they initially thought, yes, that's cool, that's where I want to go and work, had sort of cooled a little, the offer of more money sort of seemed like a sort of a no-brainer, really. And what that film, that's a shorter version that was actually put out as a cinema advert, but the longer film is about sort of reminding people, actually, this is a really special company. It thinks of itself very differently, and it just made people, when they got that offer, go, well, hang on a second, I joined that company, or I chose to join that company for a very specific reason, and it reminds them of that. And one of the great things about this was we went back up to TACA afterwards, and one of the people that we were talking to said, look, you know, I've been trying to tell my family that there's something special about this company ever since I joined, and I haven't been able to do that. I haven't been able to vocalise quite what it is, because they all look at me like I'm a bit weird. But what your film did was encapsulate what it was. And I think that comes down to the amount of research that went into choosing every single line that you see in the original film, in the final film. Okay, now for something slightly different. So this was a film that we made for BMW. They had to move offices, and there was a lot of it was a sort of they'd outgrown the old space, but people were very attached to it. People don't really like change, and so what they needed was a film that basically would show people that the management were on their side and that they understood them. And initially, we thought about doing getting all these different people and asking them loads of different questions, and then sort of trying to create a sort of an understanding of the people who work there and their attitudes to change and to moving. And we thought, well, look, let's just keep it simple. Let's take it right back and just ask them one single question. We won't give them any preparation time. Just set the camera up, say, look, you know, we're going to meet you at this time. They came in, and then we just asked them the question. We got really, really natural. Well, you can have a look at it.
This is Dave.
Hi, Chris. Okay. If I asked you what moves you, what would you say?
That's a really difficult question. What moves me?
What, as in makes me cry? Shut up.
Seeing someone have a passion for something, doing something they really believe in, something they really want to do.
People surprising you.
Magical things that happen in your life that are just happen and you're not expecting it.
People being happy.
Sounds a bit crass, but the plight of others, when I see what's going on elsewhere in the world, when I see what's happening elsewhere, that's something that moves me, gets my emotions stirring.
What moves us? Trains, planes, automobiles.
Bambi moves me emotionally.
Marley and Me gets me every time.
My cats.
Music. Very, very loud music.
AC/DC.
What moves me is being in a field in a summer month with my wellies on, listening to music, drinking cider.
David Guetta, Tiesto, Avicii, and decent DJs.
Motorcycles, actually. Love bikes, just generally. I like fast bikes, fast cars as well.
33,000 people at Derby County Football Stadium.
Watching the Pride of Britain Awards, that moved me.
Rom-com on a Sunday.
Catching a really perfect wave. Big, perfect, clean, crisp wave. That'd be nice.
My legs. I'm a bit of a running addict.
Money. That's a bad one, but yeah. An amazing view.
A fantastic sunset, or, you know, frost on a leaf in the morning, or a spider's web, or I just get really inspired by that kind of stuff.
My wife moves me more than anything else. Fear of upsetting.
When I get home and I've had a bad day and my children say, "Mummy, we love you."
Yeah, I'd agree.
Which doesn't happen very often.
Life.
I'd go with love.
They were not prepared for it, and it was not the question that they were thinking. You know, they were thinking they were going to be asked, you know, what do you think about the move, or how long have you worked here? It just completely blindsided them, and the response that we got was just incredibly genuine. And it was played at the beginning of the presentation by the board to all the people who work there to say, you know, this is a really good idea. You have to bear with us. It's going to be difficult, but we're doing it for the right reasons. And what it did was it just made them feel like they were on the same level and they understood the staff. I wonder, that's a little cynical, but it worked a treat and the move went really well. But it's that human emotion that you can capture so well if you don't try and control it too much. And that brings me on to my next slide. Again, this is not an employer branding example, but it's a very strong example, which is why I wanted to show it. Allianz do car insurance. They wanted to show that everyone has, you experience life, you experience family life in your car, and they wanted to show that they, by providing insurance, enable those stories. And they went and spoke to a big ad agency, spent over £1 million, and came up with this.
So, how was your day?
Fine.
Just fine?
Just fine.
How was the singing lesson?
I'm a girl without conviction. I'm a girl who doesn't know how to tell a contradiction. You come and go. You come and go. Come a chameleon.
Anyway, they sort of said, look, we want to create some stuff that's going to live on social, and they wanted a whole suite of films. I think we ended up doing 20 in the end. And we thought, well, look, let's just do it fixed rig in a car with real families. And this is what we came up with.
Where's Safari Park? Can we see your Safari Park?
Do you remember when we went to Longleat Park and the cheeky monkeys?
Whipped off on windscreen.
What did they do?
It whipped off on windscreen. And then the gremlin comes.
The gremlins did?
Yeah.
I don't remember seeing gremlins there.
I didn't see gremlins there either.
I did.
What other animals did we see when we got there? Do you remember?
The rhinos.
The rhinos. And did the rhinos do anything?
They butted the car over.
They butted the car over? Oh no. And what did you like about the elephant?
The the elephant stomped our car.
It stomped our car.
Yeah.
Cool, this car's had a lot of damage then, hasn't it?
And then the penguins froze in the car.
For a fraction of the cost, but because it's so real, because the family interactions are completely real, and it cost a fraction of, knock a couple of zeros off, and if not more zeros, loads of zeros. So, it costs hardly any money, and in a way that's kind of why it works so well, because if you have two actors and you give them a script and you set up big cinema cameras on their car and you drive them around, it just doesn't feel real. You can't quite put your finger on it, but it's just, there's something about it. Whereas what made that work so well, and the reason that's had incredible engagement online, is because it's just so authentic, and people can just take a moment out of their day with a cup of coffee and just watch that. The agency that we created that with have been approached by Facebook to say, how have you managed to create films like this that are this sticky? It's had 1.6 million views on Facebook. It's had 350,000 views on YouTube. And this is where the really exciting stuff is happening. It's where a lot of the brands that we're working with are moving more towards creating traditional, sort of the kind of content you would have seen on TV only a few years ago. And brands are saying, well, look, we align ourselves with this because we think it's cool, and then they allow the audience to align with it. And there are one or two brands that we're talking to in the employer branding space who are looking to do this, but no one's really taking a real march on it just yet. I think there's a real opportunity in it. So the next thing that people are doing, which is quite cool, and the reason this... Oh, actually, hang on. Who sung Karma Chameleon? Good man. Right, there we go. So another thing that's really cool is interactive video. So there's a number of people doing this. This was a project that we did with Havas people, of all people. It works really well because it gives you an opportunity to show rather than tell. So rather than saying, look, we want people who are we're a really progressive brand who think differently about our recruitment process. It allows you to create a piece of software which shows people that that's what you are. Because rather than landing on your website and seeing a video, it's like, hey, why don't you go through the experience of your first day on the job? It also serves the secondary benefit of it allows people to self-select out. So you, in this online experience game, you get to experience your first day on the job. And there are certain people who would go through it and go, wow, that's amazing, I love it. You score points, you can play against your friends, so it's quite shareable. There are other people who go, you know what, I thought working for AB InBev was going to be sort of, sitting by a big ton of beer, tasting beer all day, and it turns out it's not like that. And they will self-select themselves out for a fraction of the cost of if they'd run the traditional recruitment process, gone through the recruitment process. I'm going to tweet that as a link because it doesn't really work in a big group like this, but it is worth having a look at. Finally, everyone having cameras in their pockets gives you an opportunity to do something really cool, which is create your own brand journalism. It's a little bit scary, but the results can be fantastic. People engage so much more with content that's current. Why not have a daily video feed on how today's news is affecting your brand or affecting your recruitment process or affecting the people who work for your company. When Prince George was born a couple of years ago, we were working with Zizi at the time, and one of the footmen was sent out to get some pizza, and he came back with these 2 Zizi boxes and kind of went into Queen Mary's Hospital, and Zizi's social media went absolutely crazy. They had 80,000 hits on their Facebook page that evening. So they thought, look, we have to do something to try and capitalise on this. Because we were sort of talking to them anyway, they said, look, could you guys come and make a film for us? So we went down at 9:30 in the morning, we took a brief, we shot 4 different treatments, and then we edited it, and we got this out by 5:30 in the evening.
Good evening, ZZ's Paddington.
Oh, hello. Could you possibly make a delivery to St Mary's Hospital?
So, Andre, how does it feel to have served the Royals on such a historic day?
I didn't know at the time, but when I found out, it was a life-changing moment.
It was just like any other shift. Sun was shining, we were really busy, customers were flooding in. The order came in, just like any other order.
2 rustica picantes. I took out the dough, I rolled the dough, stretched it out to the correct size, then topped it with a pizza sauce. And then a man came to collect them. He was just like a normal customer, but probably a bit older than average. We've got the andouille sausage, we have the salami, we have mozzarella. He was really polite, well dressed, but he seemed a bit of a hurry. Well, it was just business as usual. Pizza came out, topped it with rocket, one last check, in the box. That was it. Boom. To know that I've put something in her mouth is just a life-changing experience.
So the engagement that they got from that was absolutely incredible because their social media was already going crazy, and that just kind of really fanned the flames, and it was a real success for them. What pizza did the Royals order? That's it. Okay, so I was going to take you through how to write a brief, but I think I'm overrunning. These are some of the things you might want to think about. Audience is the most important. Always think about the audience. Make it for the person who's going to watch it, not the person who's going to sign it off. But I'm out of time, so. In summary, keep it simple. Use it to make the intangible tangible. And most importantly, be bold. There has been a real move in this space, and we've seen it. People just want the same old boring talking heads, and it just doesn't provide. And it's a great format. It works to get information across, but it doesn't get shared. It doesn't get the kind of engagement that you want online. And over the last sort of 6 months or so, when I came to put this talk together, I was like, right, what are we doing that's really interesting in this space? And it's all the same stuff that we've been doing for the last few years. And I think that Allianz example, the stuff that's more like TV, is where it's really going. Really honest content. Anyway, whatever you do, don't just make diamond shreddies. And that's me. Cheers. Thank you very much.